Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk about my favorite beans that I grow. So what I grow, how I grow, why I grow them, when I harvest them for a green bean, and when I harvest them for a dry bean. Now, unfortunately, at the time I'm shooting this video, I'm right at that in-between point where I'm done harvesting them for a green bean, but they're not ready to harvest as a dry bean. So the best I can do for you right now is show you mostly photos. Some of them I took this morning, some of them are from last year, some of them are from earlier this year. So if you do decide to actually go with these beans or purchase them from our Etsy store, which is always linked in the description box down below, then at least you'll know what to expect. So my favorite beans to grow are the runner beans. Now I grow 3 different ones. I might try another variety sometime soon. The ones that I grow though, 2 of them look very much the same, and that is the Scarlet Runner, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of, and then the Barnside Sweet Runner. Both of those have that deep orange, bright colored flower, and I love them because they add so much color to the garden. The only difference between those 2 is that one grows to be bigger than the other, and honestly, I usually don't know which is which because they all get pretty big, but the Barnside can get about that long once they're fully mature and about that wide, where the Scarlet Runners are just a little bit smaller, but not a whole lot. Obviously, you're going to have beans of all different sizes as they're growing because that's any plant. And then the other variety I grow is the Sunset Runner, and the only difference between that and the Scarlet Runner, Sunset Runners have this beautiful peach colored flower, which then adds more color. So when I'm growing them all amongst each other and amongst my other plants, it adds that other pop of color. And then the bean inside is just slightly different in color. As you can see in the dry beans shown right here in this photo, the Sunset Runners have just that little more of a peachy color like you'd expect. And then the Scarlet Runners kind of look a little more purple. So those are the only difference. But as far as the pods, they all look the same. As a green bean, they taste the same. As a dry bean that's been cooked, they taste the same. So the only reason I grow the 2 different colors is just to have more color. And I would love it if there was another bean just like it that had a different color flower, only for the sake of adding more color to the garden. So one of the main reasons why I grow them is because I like how beautiful they are as a plant with the flowers, but that's not the only reason. The other reason is since they are a runner bean, they will climb on just about anything. And that means I can make the most out of my small space. Now I have a couple of dedicated areas in the garden, like the one is it's horse fencing that we put on the east side of the bigger garden section in the backyard, and I grow all along there. I grow those runner beans, which I also mix in with some purple potted pole beans, which I do really like. They just come in a lot later and are not as prolific as the runner beans are. The runner beans are heavy producers, which is another reason why I really like them. And then I have other areas all over the place that I'll also grow the beans just for the sake of their beauty, as well as just to get a few more bean plants. So I have a pot on the deck, on the back deck, that I grow them in, and then let them climb up some chains and across our gutter there. I grow them now on each front corner of our greenhouse, mostly as another place to grow them, but also because it does add some more beauty to that back section. And then I also grow them amongst the squash and the nasturtiums that I grow on the cattle panels that are arched in the back. And sometimes I'll grow them around our different fruit trees, like the smaller fruit trees, so that I can still easily get to them. In fact, one year, our smaller apple tree that's out front, I had the Sunset Runners growing around those. The apples themselves weren't done, but the apple blossoms were gone and it was starting to bear fruit. But then here were these little peach blossoms on the tree, which really confused my father-in-law, who came and he's like, I've never seen apple blossoms that look like that before, until he looked closer and realized I was growing beans there. So that's one thing that's really cool. And it's not the first time I've grown beans around fruit trees. specifically focusing on the smaller ones because they'll climb right up those fruit trees. Here's an old picture from when we had a peach tree in a pot and I was growing beans up that. I've done that quite often and they love that. And so any place I can grow them to get that more vertical garden space, to add more beauty and just give me some more beans, it's great. I can put them just about anywhere. And of all the beans I've tried, they're the ones that have done best in our cold, wet climate. And they're dual purpose, so you can use them as a green bean or a shelling bean for a dry bean to make chilies, soups, and whatever. And then because they're so pretty, it just adds so much more color that way. So I talked about what I grow and why I grow, and then I talked a little bit about how I grow them, but let me go into a little bit more detail about how I get them started. So in the past several years, we've noticed that our summers, our springs and summers have been getting colder and colder and colder. And even though this past summer, 2021, we had this very extreme heat wave, something that we've never had since I've lived here. We've had to get pretty hot in certain times of the summer, usually in August, but this happened, I think it was in June, which was really odd. And it was just a 3-day heat wave, and it actually got in some places in our area as hot as 118 degrees, which is absolutely insane for our particular area. So we are in what, I call it rain country because it's one of the rainiest places in the US. We get an average right now, and it's a low average. Even though we're getting colder years, we're actually also having less rainfall than we used to. So our current average is about 120 inches of rain per year, which is still a lot, and it's still 3 times more than what Seattle gets. And people think of Seattle as a very wet area, but we're 3 times wetter than Seattle, and that is because we're only about 20 miles away from the rainforest where we're at. And so we're on the peninsula of Washington State, and we get more rain than than some of the wettest areas of Oregon and the wettest areas of Washington State. But even with that, our climate has been simultaneously drier, but also colder each summer. And so even with that though, I've still managed to be able to get a good harvest from these particular beans, but now when I start them, we've been doing something different. So I do still direct seed them into the soil, but what we did this last year was put up some Lexan panels or some polycarbonate panels and just stood them up on end to provide a little extra shelter for the plants to grow, and that did help. And we had some that we bought that was, I think, 4 feet wide that we did along the trellis for the beans. But it wasn't quite long enough, that panel, to go all of the way to the end, so we used one of our shorter ones, which I think is 2 feet wide. And the interesting thing was I could see right away, even as the plant started growing, I just went ahead and left those panels up, and I'm glad I did. The 4 foot wide one being laid down lengthwise this way, so it came up to 4 feet tall. The beans in that whole section did better even than the beans where we had the 2 foot one. So those ones, it was a lot more sparse, but right where you see that 4 foot panel start, the beans are thicker, the plants are thicker. I have a lot more beans coming on my plants. So I found that very interesting and proof that they've been needing more heat. I didn't used to have to do that though. When I first started my channel over 5 years ago, I just direct seeded them. I didn't do anything special to help protect them from the cold because it wasn't necessary back then, and now it is. So that is what I do now. Now, if you live in a hotter climate, you most likely will not need to take that extra step. So now let's talk a little bit about harvesting the beans. And that is when I'm harvesting them to use as a green bean, like you can see here. These ones are actually from 2 years ago. These are 2019 runner beans. There's some purples in there, but you won't be able to tell because once they cook, they turn green as well. But you want to make sure you harvest them pretty young to use as a green bean. You don't want to let them get full size because at that point, the pods become too tough. So I harvest them pretty young. They're about that long approximately and that wide when I pick them, and they're still pretty flat. You shouldn't really have much for the actual bean inside there to start filling out. Sort of like when you pick snow peas, you want to pick them before the peas inside start growing. Now it's okay if the beans inside do start getting a little bit to them. I'll show you a close up here. You can see there the bean. It's okay if they start growing a little bit, but you just don't want them to get too big, or that bean inside is just too dry to eat as a green bean. And then, as I said, the pod on the outside is too tough. So pick them at a pretty young age. Most of them are at their full size right now. It's best to leave them on the plant for as long as you possibly can to let them dry on there. Now, because our heavy rains come in the fall and they come before those are done drying, usually what I end up doing, once those rains start to come, I take the beans, I pull them off in clusters. I can't usually pull it up by the whole plant because the plant is woven all along either the cattle panels or that horse fencing that we're using. So I pull them off in clusters and then I hang them in the greenhouse. So here's an old picture here. You can see I have them hung all in the greenhouse. Once the pod gets to the point where it's very thin and papery, then you can just go ahead and shell them. It's really easy. You can just rub them like this, or you can easily pop them open and then take the beans out from that point. And then what I do is the ones I'm going to use for seed, like this is ones from last year that were seed for this year, then those I'll keep in this little bag because I like to use for some of my bigger seeds. Like these have the purple potted pole beans in them. I like to use these for storing seed in, because that way too, if I'm putting like my peas, beans, or whatever, and maybe they're still not fully dry, by putting them in a cloth bag like this and then using the drawstring to just hang them up around the fireplace or anywhere where they can get a lot of airflow, then I know they will completely dry all the way. Once my beans are fully dry, I then will vacuum seal them up into jars like this. In fact, this jar here is actually from 2018. So this is the jar I need to be going through next for chilies and stuff. The ones that I sell in my store are going to be my most current beans. So then once you have your beans dried up and put away, and like I say, I just vacuum seal. I use for the jars like these, I typically am just going to use the Food Saver tops along with my brake bleeder pump, and then I just vacuum seal it up. I have lots of videos showing how I do this. I never add oxygen absorbers or desiccant packs to any of my foods like this, and it always does great for me just to vacuum seal. If you're concerned about bugs in there, well, the vacuum sealing is going to prevent anything from being able to be alive in there because they can't get oxygen. So if there happens to be any bugs inside the beans, they're not going to survive anyway. So, and I've never had any issue with them like that. And then when you're ready to cook them, you can just do like you would any other bean. Just soak them for a day and then rinse them off and then cook them however you're going to cook them. And then also consider, if you're wanting beans handy and you don't have the time to do the pre-soak and then the hours of cooking, you can also prepare a bunch of jars like I've done with black beans and kidney beans and pinto beans. Just get a bunch of them, you know, soaked, cooked, and canned up, and that way when you need a jar of beans for something right away, you don't have that waiting process. So I've done that with quite a few beans, and it's nice to have. I haven't yet done it with my own homegrown beans, but I'll probably do that, and this is because I've only gotten to the point where I'm really starting to get a lot, and I believe that we could easily grow enough green beans and dry beans to get us through a whole year, even in our small, shy 1/3 acre area that we're doing all this. All right, well, I hope that answered a few questions that I've had in relation to these beans. And just for those who are curious about what I grow and how I do it, well, there you go. And I will still keep trying other beans here and there, but so far, out of all the ones I've grown, these have always done best. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to share your favorite beans that you like to grow, what does best in your area, but also make sure that you share your location. It doesn't have to be very specific, but at least enough where people will understand what kind of climate you have. And zone, sharing your zone isn't enough to let people know the climate that you're in. So if you're confused about zone versus climate, I also have a video on that I'll link to in the description box so you can learn more about the differences there. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.